Lacking self-confidence can be caused by many reasons, but those of us who were raised by a narcissistic parent likely had experiences that diminished our self-trust, which in turn chipped away at any kind of self-confidence we may have once had. In this video, I'm sharing one small but powerful step that's helping me remember who I've always been, and I hope it helps you do the same. So before I continue with talking about rebuilding self-confidence, I want to first say thank you so much to those of you who watched my last video sharing my story about growing up with a narcissistic mother. It really means a lot to me that my story connected, and several people in the comments asked me to do more videos about it and continue talking about it. So this video I actually already had planned, and that was before I even decided to record and release that other video. But having self-confidence as someone who was raised by a narcissistic parent is very, very challenging. And in order to be confident, you actually have to have trust in yourself. And if your self-trust is not there, it's very difficult to have any kind of confidence. And even if you exhibited self-confidence, the narcissist is like they latch onto it and they break you down to feed whatever it is inside of them that needs that. Especially as a child growing up in these situations when we're developing, we inhabit the negative self-talk and the negative thinking from our parents. So the most important thing that I have been finding to be extremely helpful is to objectively observe myself in different scenarios. So what do I mean by that? Kind of to zoom out. And I hate to say remove your feelings because your feelings are valid, right? But sometimes we have to zoom out and try to not let our feelings and our emotions drive us to get a more objective view of the situation. Let me use an example that I talked about when I shared some of my experience growing up with my narcissistic parent. For a very, very, very long time, after going through and coming out of my experience that I had working with my mother, it was very difficult for me to truly see the asset that I was to the business. Like I downplayed everything that I had done when in reality, when I began to pull up and objectively look at all of the work that I had been doing, I realized that I was more than just some kind of assistant or manager in this business. I actually was running this business as the CEO or director. And that is my objective experience that I was having. When I had this realization, I was like, wait a minute, I can't let somebody else's negative thinking about me control what I think about me. And pulling up and looking at the scenario from that lens really helped me to begin to realize that it's already in me. Whatever I need is already in me. Editor Elise popping in, letting you know, here is a slight rant about revisiting old things that you once wanted as a child who was raised by a narcissistic parent. Like when you're trying to figure things out and go on your own self-discovery journey, people often say, well, what did you used to do when you were younger? What were your dreams? I have honestly found that to be difficult as someone who was raised by a narcissistic parent. And I'm sure you can relate to this. As I do a lot of reflecting, it's hard to separate and really figure out what was your thought versus what was the parent's thought. That enmeshment and not having the space to become your own person and just exist as a child and explore. But it's really hard to access that when there are layers and layers and layers of trauma and whoa. Oh, that bug. Oh. See if you can see this bug. It's huge. You see that? That little sucker? That bug distracted me. Anywho, but it's just really hard when you have layers on top of layers on top of layers of all the stuff that you have to work through when you're like, oh, what are my dreams? All right. So something that helped me is looking back at some of my old yearbooks, and it might sound silly, but go back and if you have any kind of mementos of things that you did when you were younger, go back and just look through them. I know self-confidence comes from within, right? But those of us who have these experiences of growing up in these toxic homes, oftentimes we aren't affirmed by our parents. And so looking to see what other people said about you in different stages of your life can be helpful. I don't mean put all of your weight into what other people say at all. Editor Elise popping in one more time to finish this thought, but this can be helpful to do to re-engage with who you are at your core. So let me read you this note that I had from my 5th grade teacher that really made me smile, and I was like, oh, this is how she saw me? Interesting. So it said, I'm going to miss your quiet, confident personality. Oh, is this what I gave in 5th grade? Because the story that we often tell ourselves can be different than what people see on the outside. And that doesn't mean that the story that we tell ourselves isn't true, but it can be very, very distorted. Reading that my teacher saw me in that way is like, oh, I gave confidence in 5th grade. I mean, how old are you? I don't know. I can't remember. But I'm like, okay. And, I continue going through these books, and it's just like, you're a great friend. You're really nice. All of these things. Look back through any kind of mementos or anything that you've had. Look at things that you've done in the past objectively, right? I encourage you to go on this journey, do this little experiment for yourself, and see what comes up for you. We have to start from somewhere when it comes to rebuilding our self-confidence. And for me, this has been helpful, and I wanted to share that with you to hopefully see if it could be helpful for you too as you're on this journey. I'm on a journey of rebuilding my self-confidence, my self-trust, and belief in myself, and realizing that it's all in me. Like, your experiences don't define you. Your trauma doesn't define you. It's part of you, but you can rise from all of this. And I wanted this video to be a little more lighthearted because I feel like the last one, it was a bit heavy, but this self-discovery journey and healing journey is not all sadness, and some of the more less than ideal emotions we have to feel on this journey. So I encourage you to do this experiment for yourself. I would love to hear if this suggestion is helpful to you in the comments. Thank you for watching this video, and I will see you the next time.